A body was found in an isolated area, surrounded by dense vegetation. There were no witnesses, no cameras, no confession. The main suspect had what appeared to be a perfect alibi. He claimed he had never been near the victim and had never visited the forest where the body was discovered. But he forgot one thing. Plants leave traces. In soil, on shoes, in clothing, inside a car, and, under certain circumstances, even in a victim's digestive contents. Today, we are going to explore how forensic botany can turn nearly invisible particles into evidence capable of reconstructing a crime. Because when people lie, nature can tell the truth. Forensic botany is the use of plant evidence in criminal investigations. That evidence can include seeds, leaves, wood fragments, algae, fungi, organic soil, phytoliths, and, most importantly, pollen grains. To most people, a stain of dirt is just dirt, but to a specialist, it can contain an environmental signature. Every location has its own combination of plant species. Some plants grow only in certain soils. Others bloom during specific times of the year. And some pollen grains have shapes so distinctive that they can connect a person, an object, or a vehicle to a very specific place. In this case, the victim was found near a rural road, in a wooded area. At first, the scene suggested that the crime had happened there. But investigators noticed several details that did not fit. There were very few signs of a struggle. The amount of blood at the site did not match a violent attack. And the body's position suggested that it may have been transported and abandoned in the forest. So the question changed. It was no longer simply, who committed the crime? The question became, where did it really happen? During the autopsy, forensic examiners analyzed the victim's stomach contents. This type of examination can help estimate when a person last ate. But in this case, the material revealed more than partially digested food. There were small plant fragments, leaf tissues, and microscopic particles that did not match the vegetation around the area where the body was found. Some plant structures can partially survive digestion. Cell walls, made largely of cellulose, can be more resistant than many other organic materials. The investigators also found phytoliths. Phytoliths are tiny mineral structures produced by certain plants. They can remain preserved in soil, fabrics, objects, and biological material. In other words, they are microscopic signatures left behind by vegetation. The analysis revealed an unusual combination. Fragments consistent with wetland plants, traces associated with ornamental species, and plant particles pointing to a controlled environment, similar to a greenhouse or plant nursery. That discovery led the police to an abandoned property several miles away. It was an old plant nursery. The site was filled with moisture, ferns, decomposing leaves, and ornamental species that did not naturally grow in the forest where the body had been found. But that was only the first connection. The second came from the victim's clothing. Attached to the fabric of the jacket, the shoelaces, and folds in the clothing, specialists found pollen grains. Pollen is extremely small, resilient, and easy to transport. It can cling to clothes, hair, shoes, tires, upholstery, and tools without anyone noticing. And while a single pollen grain rarely solves a case, a specific combination of species can be highly revealing. On the victim's clothing, examiners identified pollen consistent with plants found at the abandoned nursery. It was not just one common species. It was a particular mixture of wetland vegetation, cultivated ornamental plants, and species that bloomed during that time of year. That combination was not found in the forest where the body had been left, but it was found at the nursery. Police then focused their attention on the suspect. He denied any connection to the location. He said that, on the night of the crime, he was at home. He said he did not know the nursery, and he said he had never transported the victim in his car. That was when forensic examiners searched the vehicle. Inside the trunk, they found small particles of dry soil, broken leaves, and seeds trapped in the carpet fibers. On the floor mats, there was mud, and mixed into that mud were the same types of pollen and phytoliths found on the victim's clothing. The evidence did not merely prove that the car had been near vegetation. It showed that the vehicle had come into contact with an environment strikingly similar to the abandoned nursery. The victim, the nursery, and the suspect's car all shared the same botanical signature. It was a silent connection. Microscopic, and difficult to deny. With all the analyses combined, investigators were able to reconstruct a likely sequence of events. The victim may have been taken to the nursery. There, the victim came into contact with vegetation, damp soil, and microscopic particles found throughout that environment. After the crime, the body may have been placed inside the vehicle, then transported to the forest, where the suspect believed isolation and distance would erase any link to the original crime scene. But the plants recorded the journey. Pollen remained attached to the clothing. Seeds stayed inside the car. Soil traveled in the carpet fibers. And plant traces found during the investigation helped point to the place where everything began. It is important to remember that forensic botany rarely works alone. It becomes even more powerful when combined with other evidence, including DNA, soil analysis, phone records, security footage, tire marks, and witness statements. But its greatest strength is objectivity. A pollen grain cannot invent an alibi. A seed does not forget where it has been. A plant cell wall does not change its structure to protect someone. These traces may seem insignificant, but when they are analyzed by specialists and compared with samples from different locations, they can reveal connections that no witness could ever provide. In the end, the suspect built a carefully calculated story. He believed that the distance between the nursery and the forest would be enough to separate the crime from the body. But he did not account for the particles trapped in his car. He did not account for the pollen attached to the victim, and he did not account for the fact that microscopic plant structures could reveal the route they had taken. Nature did not speak out loud. It did not need to. It left evidence. And in a forensic investigation, even the smallest cell can carry a story. Because sometimes, the most reliable witness is not a person. It is a plant,